Hey guys, Nicole here, and I've got another process video today. This page features papers that I received in my 3 Scrappy Boys design team kit, and they are from Simple Stories. I want to say the paper line is Lucky Charm or Lucky something, and there you can see one of the papers was filled with 3x4 cut aparts, so I went ahead and cut them apart. That glitter tape was also from my design team package, as well as these little hat pins, burlap tags, and the little house paperclip. I had sort of pulled papers and embellishments that came with my kit, and then I grabbed all the stuff on the left-hand side of my desk is older product from my stash, and this month I'm kind of focusing on new products mixed with old products, and I thought I was going to use the embellishments that came with my 3 Scrappy Boys kit, but I ended up mostly going with the Simple Stories papers mixed with old embellishments and like letter stickers and stuff from my stash. So there you can see I have my photos printed, and then I'm using a sketch from the Sketch Fusion sketchbook by Scrapbook Generations, and I'll post a link to where you can find that sketchbook below. And I'll also provide a link for the 3 Scrappy Boys online store so you can find more information on the monthly kits and stuff. And here I'm just going ahead and trimming down all my photos. I had already edited them and sent them off to print in the exact sizes that I knew I was going to need because I was going off of a sketch that I had already determined. And so here I'm just going through the different 3x4 cards and trying to decide which ones I wanted to use. And I'm also kind of keeping in mind that I have a second 2-page layout that I want to use some of those cards with. So I'm kind of keeping in the back of my mind which ones that I'm going to use for that second page. And I'm sorry if you can hear my dog eating in the background. It's everybody in my house finally went to sleep, and I realized that I forgot to feed the dogs. So I've got one of them in the kitchen here with me, eating quite noisily. And here you can see I'm just laying everything out and trying to kind of get a final decision as far as which 3x4 cards that I want to go ahead and use. And then eventually where I'm going to put that little 2x3 photo. I did change the sketch up a little bit, and apparently I lost my notes as far as what I was specifically going to do with the photos, and so when it came time to laying everything out, I kind of had to ditch one of the photos, and it was okay because it looked clear on my computer screen, but when it was printed it was actually pretty blurry, so I just grabbed that one and decided I was going to chuck it, and instead I used the one of my daughter sort of kissing the big monkey. And here I'm just going through the different photos trying to figure out what I want to use, and the sketch does call for a large mat, and I want to say it was like 9 by 9.25, and I actually had a second sheet of that paper with the navy background and the white cameras, so I pulled that from my stash, and here I'm just double checking to make sure that the scrap I had left over was going to fit, and here I'm checking the measurements on the sketch. And then now I'm just going to cut down these 2 sheets of the camera pattern so that I can go ahead and mount my photos and the 3x4 cards on top of that. And these photos are actually, I guess you would call them outtakes. Every month on my daughter's, monthly birthday, I would put her in the chair with the monkey, and I had to take, 100 pictures to get one of her, looking halfway at the camera or just, kind of holding still. And I plan on, I'm still behind on my sons, but I plan on, with her doing the same thing where I'll do, a page with a 5x7 photo and kind of what was going on in her life at the time for each month. And then now I've kind of started collecting these photos that I took while I was trying to get her to sit still, or maybe in between shots we were playing peekaboo, or just different things, and they weren't the photo that I was necessarily intending to take, but I loved the memory behind them, and just it kind of gives a visual reference as far as what was going on with her personality wise that month. And like, this happens to be 12 months, and just while I was editing this video, I was thinking, she looks so much different now, and she'll be 16 months on May 4th. And she already looks so much different. Like, her hair is so much longer. She looks more like a little girl than, this baby with, her weird hair that's growing out. And it's just amazing to me how 4 months can go by and she looks completely different. So it was kind of fun doing this layout, just kind of looking back and thinking, oh my gosh, this was only 4 months ago, but it feels like, I don't know, it feels like longer than 4 months. These die cuts that I'm putting down also came in my kit from Three Scrappy Boys, and what I did was I just cut them in half and placed them kind of in the margins. I have a problem with sort of that open white space margin. It just, to me, I would want to sort of stretch my papers and my photos and just make them bigger and have a smaller border. But with the size of my photos and sticking with the 3x4 cards that were depicted in the sketch, I knew that just wasn't going to work. So I figured I was going to use those doilies that came in the kit, and they ended up working perfectly to sort of fill in those gutters on the left and right page. And so right now I'm just kind of putting down my photos and those 3x4 cards because I know that those are for sure where they're going. I'm not going to need to move them around. And I did ink the edges of all the papers and my photos in Chestnut Roan Color Box chalk ink. And then I'm just going to use the left paper to sort of line them up. And you can see that the gap is different sizes on both pages. I'm not sure what happened with my math there, but the blue mats are the same sizes, but I must have just sort of moved my photos around just a little bit. But I'm not concerned about it because the sketch calls for covering that with this stripe paper. And so here I'm just kind of measuring the bigger gap to figure out what size I need to cut my paper down to. So I'm just trimming those down, and then I'm going to cut a pennant in each end, and then I'm going to ink that up in the brown ink as well. I think the only thing I didn't ink was the doilies, just because, I don't know, it seemed sort of a difficult task, and I kind of liked that they sort of blend in, even though it's on cream paper and you can still see them. It's not like in your face, I guess. And then I chose not to measure them. I kind of stopped looking at the sketch at this point, so I just eyeballed what I thought looked good as far as the overhang, and then I just flipped my paper over and cut off the overhang. And then I thought I was going to go ahead and try to use this glitter tape because the green was a really good match, but I'm not sure. I wasn't feeling the glitter that day, and then I'm going to end up leaving a burlap tag kind of hanging out with a hat clip on the page for quite a while before I figure out that I'm just not liking it. I've kind of found if I don't initially like it, I kind of need to not force myself to try to decide that I like it, because in the end I'm not going to like it. So I'll usually just kind of leave things hanging out for a little bit and determine, do I like it, or am I just trying to force myself to use this? Because I can typically usually find another use for it somewhere else. And I'm not sure where I wandered off. Oh, I think at this point I'm going through the older stash items that I had picked. And so here you can see I've grabbed some different thickers and letter stickers, and I'm kind of just trying to figure out what I was going to do with my title. And I thought I was going to just do like So Sweet or something along that lines, and then I remembered I had done a page like that pretty recently, and I think I did a process video on it, so I was kind of kicking myself like, what am I doing? I need to stop using the same I don't know, the same things. And while I was digging back through my stash, I had found a sticker sheet from Simple Stories, and it's either the Snap line or the I Heart Summer line, but there's a yellow sticker that's like script font and it says hello. I'll end up pulling it out soon, and I decided to kind of change my title up and incorporate that sticker. And these little die cuts that I'm pulling out are October Afternoon, Cakewalk, and I'm not sure if they're tidbits or what they're called, but I pulled that little yellow and cream label. I pulled that out, and I think this is when I walked away to go pull some more stuff out of my stash, just because I initially pull stuff that I think, okay, this for sure matches, I'm probably going to want to use it, and then as I'm going along, I'm kind of like, I don't really like this, let me see what else I can find. And I always go towards my older stuff. Here I've grabbed a package of chic tags, and I thought for sure I was going to do this Love This Life because it did have the yellow on it, but I don't know, I ended up just not, I don't know, I didn't like it, and I kind of forgot about it after a while. And I thought about using these larger cards, but they were the wrong color, completely the wrong color. So I just went ahead and put those back. And then these little stickers that I'm going through are leftovers from a Super Savers kit from Scrapbook Generation. Typically they include an entire 12 by 12 sheet of stickers, and you almost always have, 10 or 15 left over. So I've started just kind of cutting them apart and putting them in a little Ziploc baggie, and I'm more apt to dig through that baggie and pull them out, which is what I did here. I grabbed that little navy blue label sticker because it matched perfectly. And here I thought I would use that My Mind's Eye hat clip with the paper clip, and again I'm going to leave it sitting there before I figure out I don't like it. Same thing with the wooden buttons. I thought for sure I'm going to use these, and I think I just got to the point where I was like, I really am too lazy to thread these buttons, so I'm just not going to use them. And that's bad. But I can't be the only one that's that lazy and is like, I don't want to thread a button, I'm going to go find something else. So there it is. I'm lazy. So now I'm trying to figure out, where I'm going to put those little labels that I had pulled out. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to use that paper clip or not. Eventually I'm just going to decide it's not working. Same thing with those burlap things. I love them. They're so cute, but the second page I've done that I'm like, oh, it's just not working. And here I'm trying to commit on where I'm going to put that little 2x3. I did shift it over a little bit from where the sketch called for it, but mostly just because I wanted to see a little bit more of that 3x4 card that kind of looks like the box that playing cards comes in. I just kind of wanted to see a little bit more of the text that was on there. And I am making sure that any die cuts and stickers and stuff that I do add, I am inking it too so that it matches. And I'm still just kind of playing with things, kind of thinking, and finally deciding that I need to just kind of go back to my stash and sort of rethink things. And this, in the back of my mind, I'm still kind of considering, okay, what am I going to do with this title? And here was when I pulled, So Sweet, and I was like, what am I doing? I've already done this title before. Like, I don't care about, necessarily repeating titles, but I'm pretty sure the other page I did would be pretty close to this layout. Like, yeah, she's sweet, but how many different ways can you say she's sweet? So eventually I'm going to come back with some extra stuff from my stash. I think I mostly went and pulled sort of Simple Stories stickers because I was using Simple Stories papers, so I knew that I would probably have good luck finding similar colors if I went to my Simple Stories stash and sort of pulled from there. Here I found some Enamel Dots, and I went through my loose die cuts and I found some stuff that was yellow or just kind of like maybe grid patterns and stuff. And this big rectangle scallop shape is actually, it's really old and it's from Stampin' Up, but I loved the paper kit that this came in, and there was a whole sheet of these die cut punch outs, and I only have like a handful left because I used them so much. Oh, and these are the I Heart Summer like alpha and word stickers, and I pulled just 2 little phrase stickers and I inked them up, and I'm going to end up moving them around a little bit before I settle on where they eventually stay. I just kind of wanted to add a little bit more interest in that You Are My Sunshine card, but not be, I didn't want to really cover the words, because I read that book to my daughter all the time, and she pulls it off the shelf and we sing it or we read it together. And so when I saw that card, I knew I was going to use it, and I didn't want to cover up what it said and the meaning behind it. And then here's the stickers from the Snap collection, and that was when I saw that little hello phrase, and I thought, okay, instead of doing so sweet, I'm gonna go with hello sweet girl. Like, I'm not ingenious when it comes to titles. So if anybody out there comes up with like really good titles, send it to me, because I need all the help I can get. And I am kind of inking those, and just kind of, I'm not doing like a perfect job, I'm just kind of putting enough ink on it to sort of have it coordinate with everything else. And luckily those, as we all know, thickers do not stick on their own, so luckily I'm able to move them around before I finally commit to what I want to go with. And then these are just some corrugated thickers from my stash as well. And these corrugated ones have absolutely no adhesive on them. Like, they can say that they are adhesive and they are not. Like, you can sneeze and they will blow off your page. And here all I'm doing is adding, I think that's Scotch Quick Dry adhesive. I'm just adding that to the back of the letters because I'm committed to that title at this point. Like, when my kids go down to sleep, it's like the timer goes off and I gotta get as much done as I possibly can during nap time. Hence the Red Bull that you'll catch here and there. And again, I'm just adding adhesive to the back of those chipboard thickers as well, because they didn't have any adhesive on them. And eventually I'll remember to pan out and you'll be able to see more of the page. Oh, and there's a little yellow phrase sticker that I did add above that small photo. And I want to say it was also from Simple Stories. But I can't read it on the video, so I'm not positive. And I don't have the page in front of me right now. Oh, and here I ended up moving, I think I switched the blue and yellow labels from one side to the other. And I'm just out of frame gluing that down, and then I went ahead and just decided I'm not going to use that house paper clip. And then these are pre-tied adhesive backed buttons that I have had forever. I bought like 2 packs in every color, and they are probably 8 or 9 years old, and it's one of the things in my stash that every time I do a purge, I hold on to, because I kind of think that they don't ever really go out of style. Sometimes I've found that the adhesive foam on the back maybe won't be sticky or is kind of disintegrated, but I'll typically just rip it off and glue it down with some glossy accents or something. These are some of the Snap family stickers from Simple Stories, and this is the first time that I've used them, and I was kind of surprised that they're not what I would call cardstock stickers. They were kind of like a tiny bit thicker than like computer paper, which once it's on your project, you can't really tell the difference. I just was kind of surprised when I opened the stickers that they weren't like the ones that come on the 12 by 12 sheet. Like, they're a little bit more difficult to get off because they are sort of not cardstock weight. And then there I just added the little potty person girl sticker up there next to my title, and I didn't ink her because she's so small. I didn't really see the point. And then I'm just adding a little sticker to that label. And eventually I'm going to put my date on there. And then this is that Stampin' Up! Die cut that I was talking about earlier. I'm just cutting off the sides so that I can tuck them by the doilies, and you'll just see a little bit of sort of that scallop border peeking out. And it's just kind of a way to use up an older item from my stash and incorporate a little bit more color and just kind of add a little bit more interest to the sides where the doilies are. And eventually I'll pan out and you can see where I am gluing those down. And the extra portion that I cut off is what I'm going to actually print my journaling on and later cut them into strips. And you'll see that in just a second when I pan out. You'll be able to see where I tucked those in. Okay, so here you can see that my page is pretty much complete. All I need to do is my journaling strips, and here I'm having a second look through those 3x4 cards that I cut apart, and I decided that I wanted to put another circular element over on the right hand side of the page, and I probably should have just gone ahead and used that chic tag that I had pulled out to begin with, but I kind of think it would have been too much yellow on that side of the page. Like everything over there would have been yellow, and I don't know, I kind of liked that little circle element that was pre-printed on one of the cards, so I just took a circle punch and punched it out. And here I just walked away to go print my journaling, and I'm looking for an ink pad to stamp my date on, and I grabbed a gray ink by Mama Elephant. I can't think of the name of it right now. And there you can see I just attached it to some printer paper, ran it through my printer with my journaling on it, and then I'm going to go through and trim my journaling into strips. The sketch that I'm using is, again, by a book from Scrapbook Generations, and a lot of times on their sketches, they do have free ones, so I would suggest downloading a couple free ones, just kind of so you can see what I'm talking about. But a lot of their sketches, they will show journaling strips. And I had never used them before I put together one of their kits. And ever since then, as I've been using their sketches and putting their kits together, I'm finding that I really like them. If a sketch calls for sort of like a journaling block, it's really easy to maybe substitute that journaling block for another photo, or maybe, a title card or another sort of creative element. And journaling strips are so easy to sort of fit in between elements on your page. Like here, I'm fitting them between that small photo and my title. And I don't have the sketch in front of me, but I believe that the journaling was intended to go on the right-hand page, on the lower section where my daughter's sitting in the chair, sort of pouting with her blanket. I believe it was supposed to go there on a 3x4 card. But I substituted some of the journaling cards for photos, and I decided to do journaling strips. And I love them because you can kind of be a little bit more creative with where you put things. There I am just stamping my date, and I think that's a Project Life date stamper, yeah. And you can see I goofed up on the 8, but I decided that it wasn't a big enough deal for me to try to figure out how I was going to line that back up again. Eventually I'll probably just get a gray marker and sort of doodle over it. So there is the completed layout, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.